This episode is brought to you by Ring cameras and doorbells. A lot happens while you're away from home. That's why Ring makes it easy to check in from anywhere. Whether you're saying hi to an unexpected guest, making sure those packages are safe, or keeping your pets company while you're out grabbing groceries. It's all a few taps away, right from your phone. Be there with Ring. Explore cameras, doorbells, alarm kits, and more right now at ring.com.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Derek and everyone listening, let me ask you a question. If you had to choose, and without doing any math, would you rather have $1,000 today, right now, or one penny doubled every day for the next month? Quick, make a decision.
We're going to take the $1,000. I think everyone else would too.
Yeah. Because, in your mind, you're like, okay, well, 1 cent. Next day you get 2 cents. Next day you get 4 cents. Then at 8, then 16. And you're like, okay, it's chump change.
Nothing,
it's not going
right?
to reach $1,000, right? Have you done the math to see what it would be if you doubled it every day for 30 days?
I'm going to try to lie to you, Johnny, but I can't because I'm going to send you a message right now. Look what I did last night.
You actually did check it out. So for everyone who's listening and you haven't done the calculation yet, it is such an insane number that just highlights how magical of a beast compound interest is, or compounding is. On day 1, you have a penny. On day 10, you have $5. Sounds pretty good.
Okay, yeah, still quite
All
short
right.
of the 1,000 though.
Yeah, but on day 20, you have $5,000.
Okay, I could wait. I could wait 3 weeks to 5x my money.
And actually, if you just waited day 15, you would have you'd still only have $100, $160. But if you actually waited till day 30, the number gets so insane that it's hard to believe. It is $5.3 million.
You started with 1 cent, and 30 days later, you had $5.3 million.
Yeah. And obviously, this is an exaggeration because, in real life, you're not going to get 100% interest compounded every single day. Like you might double your money over a year if you have a really good year, but you're not going to do it every day for the next, X amount of years. But this just shows how strong compound interest is and why it's so important to get that first initial nest egg to let that compound interest work for you. So today's topic is going to be the most important one that you'll ever listen to. If you haven't already reached 100 grand in your bank, and if you have, this is something that you want to send to your friends or your family, especially younger friends that aren't at that level yet. Because I promise you, having 100 grand in the bank will change your life.
Welcome to the Invest Like a Boss podcast.
I'm Sam Marks.
I'm Derek Sparts.
And I'm Johnny FD. We're self-made entrepreneurs who invest our own money and use modern technology to invest like a boss.
Join us each week for exclusive interviews with our network of modern investors, business owners, and multimillionaires to discover new ways to invest our hard-earned cash.
Well, let's kick it off proper. What's up, bosses? Episode 303 of the Invest Like a Boss podcast. I'm Derek Sparts here in Los Angeles. Johnny FD on the other end in Kyiv, Ukraine. And this is one of the episodes that we like. We love having guests on, but this is like back to basics. And it's good reminders for us too, because I think even though we've done over 300 episodes now, it's still nice to have a good reminder. And these are the most requested episodes actually too. People like the back to basics episodes. And this is really fundamentals 101 to kind of keep you on track for investing. So Johnny kind of previewed it there, but what are we totally going to talk about today, Johnny?
We're going to talk about how the easiest way to make $1 million is to have $1 million. It's very easy.
I wouldn't know. How is it, Johnny?
Yeah. You know what? It feels strange, but it's one of those things where if you can get to that point somehow, and some people are lucky, they inherit it. Some people worked hard and they sold a company, they have it. Some people grinded away and they invested, and by retirement they reach that number. Whichever way it is, it's insane when you calculate that just putting it into a savings account, a 100% guaranteed, just normal everyday savings account making 5% interest nowadays, you're earning somebody's salary per year. I mean, you're earning $50,000 a year just in interest. And if you had it invested in something like the S&P 500, just the total US stock market, you're making $100,000 a year, a six-figure salary just by leaving your money there and not touching it. It's such an insane amount.
That is crazy. And that is my ultimate goal. Now, I might not have the million yet, but I have the first step that we're going to talk about here, because that seems to be an important number that we've been seeing floating around, especially lately. It's been a hot topic. Is the first step to $1 million, which makes sense, is you need a piece of $1 million. But for some reason, a lot of people are focused on $100,000. Now I have that, Johnny. So I think I got a pretty good chance of becoming a millionaire.
Not if you spend that money to buy a house. And I think
Damn it.
this is actually something I wanna bring in there. Is for a lot of people listening, you might be thinking, oh man, I am in debt, or I have, very little savings. There's zero chance I'm going to get to 100 grand. But the truth is, if there was a house for $100,000, I will guarantee you'd find some way to save up to buy that.
Mm-hmm.
Like Derek has, it's possible. You gotta score that money away, maybe get a second job, get a roommate, cut your expenses, whatever it is. But if there was something that you really, really wanted, like buying a house or buying, freedom, you can save 100 grand. It might take you a few years, but it's 100% possible for everyone listening to this.
And if you're just putting it in the market, like Johnny said, you can expect a 10% return a year. Now, you could possibly get that on a house, but you got to remember you have, carrying costs, taxes, the roof leaks, major things can happen. That's not going to happen in your portfolio. You might have down years, up years, but we're talking, don't look at it every month. Don't even look at it every year. We're talking decades, and there's over 100 years of records now showing that you can average a 10% return from the stock market.
Yeah, I actually had to look it up because 10% sounded a little bit high, because I always have this 7% historical average in my mind. But the truth is, for the last, 30, 40 years, just S&P 500 has actually been averaging over 10%. I think it's 10.5%.
And I don't think you're going to get that from a house, because first of all, you got to live in the house. I don't have to live in my stocks. So, but your analogy of having a house just complicates things. And I think for this episode, we're not saying buying a house is a bad investment necessarily. It's just that this is probably the easiest way to grow your wealth, where a lot of people you see on TV or whatever it may be, realtors, especially social media, all these real estate gurus, like the fastest way to become a millionaire is to buy a house. And I don't know that that's necessarily true. It could work sometimes, but I don't know that it's the easiest way. The easiest way is to go to sleep, wake up, and you made money in your sleep.
Yeah. Definitely. And the thing is, when you're buying real estate and trying to make money from that, you're gonna have a bunch of debt, and you're not really gonna have $1 million in net worth. You're gonna have $1 million in house value, maybe in equity, but it's definitely not liquid. That's a whole other topic. We're gonna save that for another episode. We definitely have had episodes about real estate, but this episode is how you can see $1 million in an investment account that's making you 100 grand a year. And the first step is to try to get, literally not try, beg, borrow, and steal to get your way to 100 grand, because that is the biggest hurdle that you're going to need to cross.
There's actually a really good quote that I wanted to talk about, and it's from Charlie Munger, who actually passed away earlier this year. If you don't know who that is, that was Warren Buffett's business partner for essentially his entire life. So one of the richest guys in the world, he actually brought up this topic, and he said, this is his quote, "The first $100,000 is a bitch, but you got to do it. I don't care what you have to do. If it means walking everywhere and not eating anything that wasn't purchased with a coupon, find a way to get your hands on $100,000. After that, you can ease off the gas a little bit." Johnny, I feel like this is preaching straight to you, because this is how you basically modeled at least a lot of your life until now.
Yeah. Basically, I was just living in cheap, crappy apartments and eating $2 a meal food for the first 5 years of my kind of goal setting life. My goal actually wasn't even 100 grand. My goal was to be a Thai millionaire, which is about 30 grand. And for me, it seemed impossible, because at the time I had like $600 in my bank account or something. And I was like, man, this is going to be a lifelong challenge to get there. But I want to retire one day with $1 million Thai baht in the bank account.
Which today I don't feel like would take you very far, but
In Thailand, it probably still would, but yeah, it's definitely, 30 grand in the US doesn't take you really anywhere. But for me, that was really the big first step. And I think that's why people now refer to the 100 grand, starting balance, because if you can get there, your life becomes so much easier. And let me tell you guys why. Let me explain why very, very simply. It's when you have less than that, or let's say you have, nothing invested, nothing in the bank, 100% of the growth is blood, sweat, and tears of you, in putting that money in. So every dollar, every $10, every $100 you invest or you gain per year, that's coming out of your pocket. But once you get 100 grand and you're making 10% interest, just magically, like that money, it's like someone else is putting $1,000 into your account every month. And if you can somehow match that, now you're growing at a very, very fast pace.
and the curve is crazy. We're going to put links to compound interest calculators for you to see it. But the first few years when you're under 100,000, it's pretty flat. But then it's almost like a little magic trick happens right around the 100,000 mark. It starts turning up, and by the time you get to $1 million, it's almost vertical, like the amount of money you're showing. I know this is a podcast and it's audio, but visual wise, when you see the chart and how fast your interest grows when you have some money in there, it is wild.
Yeah. So to kind of break this down to make it really, really easy. So imagine right now you have $0 in the bank and you want to get to, not even a million, let's say $500,000. That would require you putting $1,000 into the bank every single month for the next 20 years. It's possible, but it's a very long, hard struggle to be able to, scrape $1,000 around to be able to put that in.
Hey, bosses, we're going to take a quick break to hear from our sponsors. The show will be right back. If it's time to upgrade your business and get the best checkout on the planet, you should get Shopify. But just don't take my word for it. I've told you guys before how I use Shopify, but did you know that my buddy Johnny FD also used Shopify? Johnny, how did you utilize Shopify's resources?
So instead of me hiring a developer to fix my website every time there was an update and something would break, I just started using Shopify instead, and we relied on their team. Nothing ever broke. Everything was updated seamlessly in the back, and I got to just focus on running my business as intended.
So if you want a flawless checkout and upgrade your business like Johnny did, you can sign up right now for a $1 per month trial period when you head to shopify.com/iLab. That's shopify.com/ILAB. Make sure that the iLab is all lowercase. You can upgrade your selling today when you head to shopify.com/iLab. This is actually perfect, Johnny. I'm glad you brought this up because do you know what the average salary in the United States is right now? Now, a lot of people are like, I don't make enough money. I can't do this, blah, blah, blah. But this is the average across all 50 states. Obviously, California, New York, some places might be a little bit bigger, but the average for the US, what do you think it is right now?
I think it's gone up. So I think I'm going to say like $55,000 a year.
It's actually $64,000 a year.
Wow.
So this is perfect that you said $1,000 a month because 20% of 64,000 is 12,800. So let's call it 12,000. Now, do you think the average person could sock away 20% of their salary?
They absolutely could do it. Do they want to do it? Probably not.
Yeah, there's differences there.
But also, I would almost guarantee that if someone if there was a program, like a 401k type program where 20% of your salary can just be taken out of your paycheck automatically every month, you would notice it the first month, of course, but I guarantee after 2-3 months, you wouldn't even feel it.
Yeah.
You would just be like, okay, it's one
You
of
never
those things
saw
like,
it, you never knew it was there. So
Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
And I know this is true because many, many people have a $1,200 a month car payment.
Yes.
And if they had just kept their old crappy car instead of leasing or buying a new one with a $1,200 a month payment, this money would just be free money going into an account.
We've had a lot of people from Dave Ramsey, and he's obviously like debt-free guy, just rails on that. But the number one payment in debt that they have is car loans. Car loans are a huge problem, especially in the United States.
Yeah. And we could talk about, ways where you can scrape together $1,000 a month. None of them you're going to like hearing, but once you kind of figure out, once you hear how much it'll change your life just getting to 100 grand, I think you'd be willing to do some of that. So let's run that same calculator again. And instead of starting with zero, if you had started with 100 grand in the bank and you're still putting in the same $1,000 a month, the same 10% annual interest rate, in the same 20 years, you would now have $1.5 million. That's an extra million. That extra 100 grand has now given you an extra $1 million.
So let's run that through quick again because we are on a podcast. So you start with $100,000.
Yeah.
You're putting in $1,000 a month.
Yep.
You wait 20
10%
years.
interest rate. Yep.
And 10%, we're going to say, let's say Johnny's favorite VTI.
Yep.
Pick your favorite index fund. It should average 10% a year. So,
S&P 500 doesn't matter.
yep. $100,000, $1,000 a month out of your salary. You never saw it. You wait 20 years. You got $1.5 million.
That's crazy,
I'm
right?
not mad about that.
Yeah. And actually, just to get to that $500,000, instead of waiting 20 years like you would have if you started with zero, now you can get it in half that time. Now you can get in 10.
So that's the crazy part, though. In 10 years, you have about $500,000. But if you wait another 10 and don't change anything, you gained over $1 million in that second 10. You doubled what you made in the first 10 to the second 10. So that's why people are like, I'm not seeing any difference in the first couple of years. It's that timed out that the first 5 might seem slow and then it picks up pace. And you see that in 10 years, you made $500,000. But then in the second 10, the same time period, you made twice that. You made $1 million.
Yeah. This is why old money, like, the rich kids of Instagram, the trust fund babies, this is why their family has so much money. It's because their parents or their grandparents had left even 100 grand. Like it's not that hard to leave 100 grand for your children. Like it really isn't. And as long as they didn't blow it and spend it on something else, and they invested it wisely, this can literally change their lives. And not just for them, but for future generations as well.
And I think that's where a lot of people that didn't grow up with money get really bitter about this sort of thing. I feel like I felt that way when I was younger, but it's just a matter of learning the rules. And you're taking the first step by listening to a financial podcast. So hopefully if you were in the case where like I was, and I assume Johnny didn't have any money left to him, that, we can change that in the future for the next generation. So hopefully they're the rich kids rolling out of school in a Ferrari.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I want to spoil them that bad, but yeah, definitely,
a used Ferrari.
Yeah. Or use a Porsche Cayenne that breaks down the side of the road all the time. No, but seriously, like if I wasn't driving my 16-year-old Cayenne and I decided to buy a brand new one for 120 grand, you know how much my monthly payment would cost
it's over $1,000 for sure, just for that. And that's your money you would have had in 10 years. You could have had a 10-year-old car, or you could have had $1 million with that $1,000.
How long is an average loan payment? Is it normally 48 months?
I would say probably 60 months, but now they're stretching out to 72 or even 84 for some of these big ones now.
That's insane. All right. So I'm looking at a base Cayenne, 120 grand.
I love how we got off the rails into cars again.
Yeah. But let's say, I put down 10% down payment. It's $12,000. And the interest rate that they're charging me is 9.89%, which is a lot. But you know what? What's a good interest rate for a new car?
Right now, I'd say like 7 would be good.
Okay.
It's pretty high right now.
So if I did 7, my monthly payment would be $2,257 a month.
Wait. Let's do the calculator. How much was your down payment?
$12,000.
$12,000 down payment. I'm going to pretend like I'm not Johnny. I'm going to walk everywhere and I'm going to put this money in the bank. So I have $12,000 to start off with. How much a month?
$2,200.
$2,200 a month. And how long is the loan for?
60 months.
So 5 years.
5 years.
So I have $12,000 to spend. I'm going to put $2,200 a month away, and I'm going to do that for 5 years at a 10% return. Johnny's car was how much to pay for it?
The total price should be 120 grand.
120 grand he spent on that car. At the end of the car loan, his car's maybe worth 20 grand.
Yep.
And my money is worth $190,000.
Yeah. And here's the thing is, if you just kept that mindset and just kept rolling that over, it's insane how much more your money would be worth.
If I did that again for another 5 years, I have a $500,000, Johnny, in 10 years.
That's insane,
And
right?
you have a 10-year-old Porsche.
Yeah, I mean, my client is literally 16 years old, right? So let's put that in there. For 16 years, you have $1.1 million.
Wow. I
And
could deal with having a dumpy car and knowing that I would be a millionaire in 16 years for literally not doing anything other than I would normally be doing.
yeah, like it is insane when I look at these numbers, and I encourage everyone to check out one of these sites, calculator.net.
Yeah, we're not making this up. This is all free to access. We'll put a link to the calculator. It's not like made up magic numbers. It's real numbers.
Yeah, I don't like driving a 16-year-old car. I'd rather have a brand new 2024, but I also don't like being broke and not having money in the bank. So like for me, this is just a no-brainer. I would much rather just keep whatever car I already have or buy, a used reliable Toyota or something and just say, you know what, I'm going to drive this for the next 15, 16 years and then I'm going to be a millionaire.
Yeah, if you tell yourself, I'll wait 15 years and then I have $1 million and I'll just live off the interest. So if you're making $100,000 a year, you can buy a pretty sweet car and $100,000 a year salary.
Yeah. I've even thought, let me just put off buying a car for 5 or 10 years, and then I'll use the gains to then buy the brand new, whatever, 911 or whatever it is I want. But then when that time comes, I'm like, you know what? I'd rather just like let that keep rolling. Like it's addictive when you see those numbers just compounding, and you're just like, man, I can have $2 million in the bank if I just keep this car and don't change my lifestyle, my living expenses dramatically. And if I just kind of keep my same, mid, somewhat frugal, but like, kind of mid lifestyle, if I just keep this for the next 7 years, I would have another $1 million. It's just insane.
I totally agree with that too. And I think your priorities change as you get older too, because I'm a car guy. And when I was like 25, I would have bought a way better car than I have now. I bought a nice car, but I bought a car I could easily afford. I would have bought something like a Porsche or something like that when I was 25. But now being older in my 30s, I was like, I don't need that. What do I need all that for? So if you're younger, maybe under 30, and you're thinking you need to flash and show all this stuff, I'm betting that your mindset's probably going to change in another 10 years or so.
Yeah. And there is an argument, and I will put this out there. If you guys are listening to this and you're like, you know what, guys, I'm 22. I'm getting laid. I'm in college. I'm a good looking guy. I just need, this cool car. I want to be able to go out. I want to go to Cabo. I want to go on trips. I want to go to Miami. I don't care. I just want to enjoy my life. I can't really argue with that because it is very fun. But one day you will look back and you'll be like, you know what? Those were amazing days, but was it worth trading going to a crappy job, stressing about money? I don't know. I honestly can't give you the answer. I mean,
I think there's a happy medium somewhere in between. I don't know. It's hard to say. I never really had any money until recently, so I spent every dollar I had, and I had a lot of fun. But looking back, if I was sitting on $1 million right now, I would feel in a lot better place, I think.
Yeah, it's really a hard gamble, but I think for a lot of people, kind of the stability of having the money, knowing that they're not going to have to work some crappy job and be stressed if they can survive or not. I mean, I know for me, the reason why I wanted to have this big nest egg is because I grew up poor. My parents never had any money; they were always fighting about it, and I never wanted to be in that position where I was stressed every month how to pay the bills. Yep. I never wanted to be in that position where 9 days out of 10, I'm fighting with my significant other because of money. That was just one thing. To me, that was the most important thing in the world, is to have that stability. And my goal, which I haven't met yet, but I'm working on it, is I want to have $1 million in my Vanguard account in just index funds. And I just want to see that just grow on compound $100,000 a year, $100,000 a year. And you know what? Some years it's going to go down by $100,000.
Yep.
But as long as I keep it in there and I'm not, panicking and taking it out, and the whole world and the whole US doesn't collapse and companies like, Apple and Google don't go bankrupt, I'll be okay. It'll recover. And in the next 10, 20, 30 years, that $1 million is going to be worth an insane amount that I actually haven't calculated yet.
I actually was running it while you were saying that because I was going to lead into that too. So we don't want to overwhelm you guys with numbers. You know, it's an audio podcast. So I think our consensus was, Johnny, right? Within 15 years, if we saved really healthy, we could be a millionaire, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you said I made $1 million. I'm done. I'm not putting any more money in there. That's all I'm doing. So I set it as your initial amount is $1 million. You put in $0 a month. You don't put anything in there again.
Mm-hmm.
Should we say another 15 years? So let's say you're 40 when you're a millionaire, right? So from 25 to 40, you scratched away. You're a millionaire now. You don't put anything in. You let that sit for another 15 years. You've essentially retired. How much money do you have after another 15? Starting with 1 million, you wait 15 years.
Okay, so I'm 43 now. Okay. Let's say I had that $1 million in my Vanguard account, I didn't touch it. When I'm 58, which is actually a pretty young retirement age still.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Let's put 16 years. Just give it a nice round number. I would have almost $5 million.
That's insane. So it took you 15 to get 1 million, but then you wait another 15, you made another 4 million.
That is insane.
So that's the power of compound interest. I know we've brought it up before, but until you visualize it, and like I said, we're on a podcast, but go to these links that we're putting in, plug some numbers in there. It's wild how fast it grows. The one we're going to send you shows your principal, which this one's a flat line because you didn't put any money in. It was at zero. And then your interest gain, and it literally looks like a roller coaster. You're going up to the top. It's pretty cool.
And just for fun, I just wanted to see what it was. I'm like, okay, let's say I didn't actually need to live off that money. Well, when I was 58, I had something else I could live off. I own
a hot podcast making tens of dollars a month.
Well, I mean, realistically, I would have my 2 properties, one to live in, so I have no monthly expenses for housing. And then I have my other apartment that I use for rental income. Mm-hmm. That pays for all my groceries and going out and stuff like that. Yeah, who knows? I might still have a side gig that I like, doing here and there. But honestly, I've never touched the principal of any of my investments because I'm like, you know what? Whatever I make, that from rent or whatever, that's what I spend. Mm-hmm. So very realistically, if I retired at 58 with those that $5 million in the bank, and I just let it ride, by the time I died at 73, 74,
you got it planned out.
Yeah, I would leave my next of kin, whoever it is, maybe my ex-girlfriend, who knows, I would leave whoever it is, my wife, my kids, my family, I would leave them $20 million.
That's some big baller boss money right there.
That's some like Rockefeller money. Like that's the type of money.
That's some Sam Marks money out there.
No, maybe, but like really, it's like imagine you met someone. They're like, yeah, my parents left me $20 million,
and then you take that 20 and you wait 10 more years. No. It's just like crazy. Yeah, it's pretty wild. So I
mean, unfortunately, that kid will probably blow it. That's why you have to put in a trust fund. But
yeah,
like literally, that is trust fund baby money.
Mm-hmm.
That is like growing up with a silver spoon kind of money. It's like it seems so unfathomable to the average person, but it's actually realistic.
Well, the phrase the rich keep getting richer is that way for a reason, and that's due to compound interest. And a lot of people don't understand that concept until they actually get to that point. So the big thing is taking that first step. Like we said, get to 100,000, then you'll get to your million, and hopefully you'll get to 20 million or whatever it may be. But it's attainable for essentially anybody.
Yeah. Like if you can dream about owning a sports car or, some kind of cool car, $1,000 a month car payment. If you could dream about, owning that Scat Pack charger, right? If you could dream about buying a house, like a condo for $100,000, or even let's say even realistically nowadays, saving up $100,000. Yeah, but like just saving up $100,000 for the deposit on a nice house. If you could dream about that, you could also dream about just saving up $100,000 into a Vanguard account. Just invest in the S&P or whatever index fund. It's absolutely realistic to dream about. And if it was me going back 10 years or 20 years and knowing how powerful this was, I would not have bought nothing. I would not have eaten. Like seriously, I would have been like, you know what? 10 years, I'm only going to eat, just like, discounted chicken and and rice and broccoli, whatever it is. Like, and I'm not going to go on any expensive vacations. I'm just going to go camping, and I'm not even going to use expensive camping gear. I'm going to use the $20 Walmart tent. Like, that's going to be my entertainment.
the Temu tent.
Yeah, like I'm not going to buy crap. I'm not going to have a big TV. Like, I'm going to have roommates. I'm going to live I'm going to live somewhere much cheaper. I'm going to drive an old Toyota. In 10 years, if I can be at the 100 grand point and then start this journey of one day potentially being a multi-millionaire and potentially changing the future generations of my last name, I would do it. I would absolutely do it again.
I would too. I wish we had all these resources, 10, 20 years ago. Unfortunately, we didn't. And that's why I think a lot of people that are just starting out right now use these resources like Invest Like a Boss or YouTube or other podcasts, because there's a wealth of information out there that was, I think, I don't want to say purposely hidden before, but kind of an insider secret where it's kind of like the old boys club. But they didn't expect everyone to have access to this, or retail traders online like E-Trade, Schwab, whatever it may be. This stuff is available to everyone now. It was not designed that way, but it is, thanks to the internet and other resources, available to everyone now. So there's really no excuse for you not being able to implement these things.
Yeah, I'm very, very lucky and fortunate that I just kind of fell into it. I happened to be a frugal, cheap, kind of broke college student that didn't upgrade my lifestyle when I graduated. I was living in Thailand. I was living in a bamboo hut. I just wanted to extend my runway to be able to just live cheaply, eating cheap Thai food, sleeping in like a crappy accommodation. And I just got used to it. So when I started saving money and I started seeing it, I was like, you know what? I don't need to upgrade my lifestyle. I remember I was making 20 grand a month from my Shopify store, which is probably the sponsor of this episode.
Shout out Shopify, shopify.com/ILM.
I remember I was living in I think it was 12,000 baht a month apartment. How much is that? $347 a month apartment. And when my girlfriend found out how much I was making a month for my store, she was like, why the hell are we living in this crappy place? And
she's mad she wasn't spending it on her too.
Yeah. And I was like, you didn't think it was a crappy place before you found out how much money I was making. That's
true. You know what? If you tell someone how much money you're making and then they're like, wait, you're not living the life that we should be living. It's like,
but maybe that's why it didn't work out. But like for me, I was 100% content living in that condo. I mean, it was small, but it was great location. We even had a pool. So like we had a gym and a pool. So I was 100% satisfied with it, but I was more happy, just scrolling away all that money, because I would not have gotten to the point I am today financially if it wasn't for those days and just kind of keeping my budget low.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's a good spot to end this show. We want to keep this one nice and short, a little inspirational episode. No matter what level you're at, hopefully help you guys stay on track. And if you want to interact with other bosses online, I think the best way to do it is Patreon. If you go to investlikeaboss.com, click become a Patreon. As low as $5 a month. We got all kinds of posts in there. Lots of updates. Sam just got back from the jungle. There's lots of stories with that.
Oh, God.
Johnny's in Kyiv, but he's going to be on the move soon. We're actually going to see each other in South America. There's information on that. So much more. So head over to investlikeaboss.com. Click become a Patreon.
Absolutely, guys. Great talking to you, and hope to see all of you in the $20 million club in our deathbeds.
Let's do it.
Thanks for listening to the Invest Like a Boss podcast. Join our mailing list at investlikeaboss.com to get exclusive access to our insider investment portfolios and our private members forum.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcast app. Tell your friends and leave us a review in the iTunes store. It helps more than you know. See you guys next week.